Yeah, before we conduct any business, we'll have to make sure, otherwise we'll just have to adjourn.
Oh, sorry, the microphones don't work, so everybody's gonna have to be as loud as me.
Or me.
I think you're gonna have to take off your mask when you speak, actually, because no one will understand.
Worst case scenario, just, pull your chairs a little closer.
Okay. It didn't fly over the right way.
No? Oh,
Okay.
my bad.
Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the March full board meeting of Manhattan Community Board 8. I'm Valerie Mason, and I'm the chair of the community board. I want to welcome everyone this evening. Tonight, we have our Congressman, Gerald Nadler, with us. Welcome. Happy to have you. And so we will start off the evening by giving you the floor.
Doesn't work.
Doesn't work, okay.
I tried, doing the whole testing thing and then.
On Monday, I forcefully condemned the Trump administration's brazen defiance of a federal court order and its unprecedented misuse of wartime authority to justify immigration enforcement. I called on House Republicans to finally show some backbone and immediately launch an investigation and hold hearings on this egregious abuse of power. Left unchecked, President Trump's actions against the rights of the people, our federal workforce, and congressionally mandated federal funding amount to, as described by a very conservative former federal judge, J. Michael Luttig, a full frontal assault on the rule of law, our system of justice, and the entire legal order. As we look ahead, Congress will have to vote to raise the debt ceiling, and in September, we will once again have to pass a federal funding bill. I proudly voted against the continuing resolution in the House last week because it not only fails to implement strong safeguards against Trump and Musk, but it also slashes critical programs and abandons veterans, survivors of domestic violence, seniors, families with disabilities, and other vulnerable communities. Republicans have directed the House Energy and Commerce Committee to cut $880 billion in FY26 spending, the vast majority of which will have to come from the Medicaid program. So if they ask the committee to cut $880 billion, you can assume at least $860 billion for Medicaid. As we know, a cut to Medicaid is a cut to Medicare. More than 12 million people who rely on Medicare also depend on Medicaid for critical care. That's why I'm protesting these proposed Medicaid cuts by speaking out with groups like Indivisible and Protect Our Care about the damage these Medicaid cuts would do to my constituents. Just this week, Elon Musk's Doge put out a memo saying they plan to cut Social Security phone support, a move that could debilitate a system that's already plagued with delays and facing staffing cuts. If Doge moves forward with slashing services at Social Security, payments that people rely on to pay the bills could be missed or delayed. I recently signed on to a letter with my Democratic colleagues urging President Trump's acting Social Security Commissioner, Leland Dudek, to halt plans for significant workforce reductions and the planned shuttering of field offices. I believe our commitment to protecting Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid must be rock solid. That's why I joined House Democrats in signing a letter spearheaded by the leaders of the Congressional Progressive Caucus and the New Democratic Coalition to Speaker Johnson, calling on him to reverse course on any legislation that would cut Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid benefits on behalf of millions of Americans who depend on these programs. Along with Councilmember Rivera, I am organizing a Know Your Rights immigration workshop, which will be held virtually on Sunday, April 6th. My office is now accepting submissions for the Congressional Art Competition. The competition is open to high school students who reside in the 12th District. The winning piece will be displayed for 1 year in the U.S. Capitol. Submissions are due by April 25th. Information for both of these items can be found on my website at nadler.house.gov.
Well, thank you. I'm going to break from our usual tradition of no questions. If there are one or two questions, we have the congressman here. So, okay, from the back first, can you just say your name and ask?
Yes, Howard Euro, Congressman, what do you make of Senator Schumer's, being on the other side of the continuing resolution from your position?
Well, I understand it. We voted against the continuing resolution a week and a half ago. Because it's a terrible continuing resolution. The Senate Democrats were also opposed, including Schumer, were also opposed to the same continuing resolution. They then proposed a 30-day continuing resolution instead of a CR, which runs for the balance of the fiscal year, a 30-day continuing resolution so that they could negotiate. The Republicans said no. Chuck then faced the choice, which we did not face a week earlier, between voting for the CR or having a government shutdown. Voting for the CR is terrible because lots of services are cut and they're cut illegally, but you can go to court, and we're winning a lot of court fights. In a government shutdown, the only essential services get performed. The president by himself determines what an essential service is, which means he could decide to cut out Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, child services, anything, and there's no recourse to the court, as there is in a continuing resolution. So Chuck decided that rather than have a shutdown where there'd be no recourse to the court, he'd provide the votes for the CR. So he was in a position that we were not a week earlier. Now, some people are saying that Chuck should have continued fighting it, but it's a value judgment. You could say continue to fight, but on the other hand, at least this way, we have recourse to the courts. Had Chuck not done what he did, we would not have recourse to the courts.
Lori, you have the other
I
question?
was just going to ask you to explain as you did on Monday, and that was the
Okay,
explanation.
one more question. Does anybody have a question? Jane?
Just curious, have you taken a position on the Lenox Hill, the Northwell proposal at the corner of 74th, the new hospital?
Not yet.
77th and Lexington?
Not yet. We're still looking at it. I anticipate taking a position.
Well, I hope you take a position.
Okay, all right, we'll leave you on that controversial topic. Thank you very much for
You're
coming
quite
this
welcome.
evening.
Thank you.
In person for our public session, you'll have 2 minutes like always. Howard Roro, Stephanie Reckler, Wei Hugh, and yeah, those are the folks who've signed up in person for the public session. If you'll just queue up here, you'll get 2 minutes on the clock. That'll be over here. You can go to the non-functioning microphone at the lectern.
Maybe it'll make you feel like you're speaking louder than you
Yeah.
are.
So whoever wants to walk on the other side, or be careful.
Okay, don't listen, just go that way.
I'm just trying to avoid anybody tripping. All right, and
Don't speak at once.
Sebastian, do you know how to?
Thank you.
Timer.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Reckler, and
Yep.
I want to say a bit about hybrid meetings. And I am in favor of hybrid meetings with the caveat that full board meetings, there should be very few exceptions to people on Zoom for full board meetings. I think it's good for all of you to see each other and for me to see you in person. Like sometimes people look bigger or smaller, and I'm tired of talking to my monitor. So I appreciate everybody coming. I would also like to tell you that I've left a lot of materials opposing the tower, the Lenox Hill Tower, and I thank Jane for asking Congressman Nadler what his position is. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stephanie. Next. Just state your name and
Sure. Hi, good evening.
hi.
My name is Wei Hugh. I am here both as for the applicant and licensee
to operate in an adult use cannabis retail dispensary on 1720 Second Avenue, across street of 89th Street. In full disclosure, it's my second time before this illustrious board. I was here last year to ask for a recommendation to operate Lenox Hill Cannabis, Co. at 73rd Street between Second and First Avenue. In my first year of operation, we've seen nothing but providing additional access to local residents and sort of people in the neighborhood. We've paid over $1 million. We've been happy to report we've paid over $1 million in excise taxes to the state, and we provided a critical point for access for people who wish to choose to purchase legal and lab tested cannabis. I am here today to support a second dispensary on 89th Street and 2nd Avenue. It would be called Carnegie Hill Cannabis Co. And it'd be the same kind of restrained dispensary. We'll still have opaque frosting so that no one can come in. We will still have security on site, in addition to all the required OCM, meet all OCM security requirements. We are proud to say that standing here 1 year later, a lot of the unlicensed dispensaries have been shut down by the local authorities and OCM. It is in part because that there are now legal avenues for people to procure cannabis and pay the relevant taxes to all the government authorities. That I have only 2 minutes left, so therefore I kindly request you to vote. Thank you very much.
Okay, 1 second. I'm gonna exercise my, this chair discretion. Please don't tie your sandwich side to the trees on along First and Second Avenue, on First Avenue. Very often, one of your signs is tied to a.
Apologize. We did receive community feedback. That has not happened
Okay,
last 6 months,
okay.
6, 7 months.
All right, we'll
Thank you.
see. Thank you. Next.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm Howard Euro, and I just want to urge the board and the community to fight the disproportionate development plans of the hospital.
Okay.
And express my disappointment that the congressman at this late date cannot commit to opposing disproportionate development in and very near historic district and landmark districts.
Okay.
Shame on him for that lack of backbone.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Remember, I said no comments tonight about the hospital. I'll allow that because that's a comment on a comment, so. Okay,
All right.
thank you.
So the next folks that we'll hear in a public session are all coming from Zoom. As always, we'll start with Evelyn David. Evelyn, you know how to unmute. If you hear your name called during the public session and you've signed up, we're just gonna ask you to look for the react icon on your device, press the raise hand button to help me find you. Evelyn, you know how to unmute, so click that and give us your 2 minutes.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Thank you, Congressman Nadler. I'm going to pick up the other side of
Hi,
this just to
Evelyn.
keep the world. Hi, how are you? How's everybody? I hope they're well. I hope we are sticking together, all of us in this great city. And thank you, Congressman Nadler.
Oh, she's talking?
Can you hear me? Oh, can you hear me? Hello? Hello?
1 second, Evelyn, we can't hear you. Just give us a minute.
Yeah, sorry, Evelyn, we'll come back to you. I'm trying, keep talking, Evelyn. You do it so great. So you're helping me figure out my technologies. Audio settings, volume. There we go.
Did it work?
Evelyn.
We good?
You're great.
Can you hear me?
Can't wait. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay. Can you hear me? No. What happened? You can. Okay. Thank you, Congressman Nadler, for showing up and for working so hard. Again, what's going on in Washington, D.C.? I think he will get to the problems in New York City, I'm sure. I know he represents us also. That's in comment to the gentleman who spoke before. I am hoping, this sounds ridiculous, but the parking situation doesn't seem to be getting better. I mean, it is what it is, and maybe we're all adjusting. Hopefully they're not going to have any parking permits. I stand strong on that. And thank you everybody for being there. And we're really in a tight spot right now in the country. But let's just hope, you know, everybody just keeps on going and that the courts stay strong. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thanks, Evelyn. You know, the congressman showed up here today for the first time in a long time. Maybe one day we'll see you in the room too.
All right, next we have Timothy Harrell. And then we have Emily Dillon, Frank Savance, Marissa Yanni. Marissa, I see you, so go ahead and Marissa's our colleague at the Department of Sanitation.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Marissa Yanni, Community Affairs Liaison with the Department of Sanitation. Just to give a quick update, everyone in New York City is mandated to separate their compostable material from their trash. That's your food scraps, yard waste, and food soil paper. Please note, starting April 1st, enforcement will begin for a compost. So if you did not start already, please get ready April 1st for it to begin. We will be issuing summonses at that date. If you don't know how to compost, please let Will know and he'll let me know, and I'll see how we can support you in any way. You can use any size bin you want under 55 gallons as long as it's clearly labeled with a lid. So if you do not have any compost labels, Will, I'm happy to bring those up to your office if you think a lot of people need them. Thank you so much for having me tonight and have a great night.
Thank you.
Thanks, Marissa. All right, did anybody else that I called, Frank, Emily, or Timothy? Frank, you're here, so go ahead and hit your unmute button and you'll get 2 minutes. Go ahead, Frank.
Hi, everyone. So I have a few things to bring up. One is to the point of the compost. It sounds like a great idea on paper. However, for somebody like me who in the last 2 months have had rats chew through my car wiring, costing me nearly $20,000 in fees, I would love to see how they prevent the compost from rats chewing through that container. I see them in our neighborhood. It's the size of guinea pigs. Several buildings, I've submitted many complaints on 311 to no avail. But the main reason I'm here is because I live on 79th Street, 308 to be exact, between 1st and 2nd Avenue. And it seems to me that everyone along this street, it's a bus lane. Now, I've been in several predicaments where I have to drop off my family to my building. Now, we have no designated parking except in front of our building. I've spoken to Councilwoman Mendon's office, and they suggested that we create an NLZ, a neighborhood loading zone. The DOT has particular requirements for this, as I went on the website last night, and one of them being close to a bus stop. Well, that's right in front of my building as well. So next to where my street ends, there's about 6 spots which could easily be turned into a neighborhood loading zone. I believe that several buildings on my block would utilize this, as well as many other buildings, since, as I stated before, the only time you can drop somebody off is after 7 o'clock. You are allotted 11 minutes by bus cameras to drop people off, or you're dinged with a double parking permit. I don't know. I was told you guys have the power to make an NLZ possible. The DOT is very particular about which neighborhoods they do it in. They like to do commercial zones. However, being as in this neighborhood, I know people have cars and family, it would be interesting and very helpful to use an NLZ here.
Okay, Frank, a representative of Congress, excuse me, I'm still bowled over. A council member, Menon's representative is here tonight. So we have your name and we'll see if we can start that up. The other thing I just want to mention, tomorrow night at 6:30, our Environment and Sanitation Committee will be meeting and we'll be talking about rat mitigation. So you might want to tune into that. Thank you for participating.
Oh, and then one last person on Zoom, Dylan Geronimo Kennedy. Dylan, go ahead and unmute.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to speak because I know coming up today, there's going to be a lot of votes on outdoor dining applications, and I just want to vote broadly in favor of them. The weather outside is so lovely right now. I'm so excited to get to eat and socialize outside. Wish it was there already. Obviously, you don't have any control over that, but I'm just really excited to kind of explore the neighborhood and get to enjoy it outside again. So I'm just offering a broad vote of approval from me and urge you to support any of the outdoor dining options in our neighborhood. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Dylan. Okay, are we done?
Are we done?
Are we done? Okay. All right, moving to item number 2, adoption of the agenda. Second, all in favor? Any opposed? Okay, adoption of the minutes. Oh.
There seemed to be an error in the minutes,
Okay,
because I was not voting for cause on 2 items in street fairs.
And then
The wrong items are listed, it's 1 and 18, it's listed as 4 and 8.
okay,
can you email me the two that are correct and then we'll change them?
okay. Then with Chuck's changes, everyone in favor of the minutes as adjusted or corrected, rather?
Yeah.
Okay, great. All right,
Yeah, so Iva is here.
okay, Manhattan Borough President's Report.
Yeah.
It's gonna happen via Zoom.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. It's always great to be here. I have a very short report. Today we completed our last round of community board interviews. To reapplicants, thank you so much for completing the process. We'll soon be emailing everyone who applied or reapplied about next steps. And then, of course, good luck to community members that applied for the first time. Just a reminder, the Manhattan State of the Borough is scheduled for Sunday, March 23rd at 2 p.m. at LaGuardia High School, 100 Amsterdam Avenue. Please RSVP directly to events@manhattanbp.nyc.gov. I've also circulated the flyer with the CB8 team, also available on our website. You can email me about it at shabazz@manhattanbp.nyc.gov. Lastly, I'll be sharing information soon about the NYCHA brunch, where we invite stakeholders, TAs, city agencies, and community leaders. Keep an eye out on our website, social media for this information. And then, of course, for those who celebrate, I wish you a happy Ramadan, Purim, and Women's History Month. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Suwaiba. Okay, now we'll move to elected officials report. So if you are representing an elected official, please come to the front of the room and you will have 2 minutes apiece. Or less if you
Make
want.
a cue there and speak from the lectern.
Hi, everyone. My name is Summer from Senator Serrano's office. The senator has been in Albany lately. Last weekend, he sponsored a Somos conference panel, which discussed the Puerto Rican influence on New York public spaces and cultural landscapes. It was a really great event. They had the Bombazzo company perform a drum performance there. Really amazing. The One House budget did come out last week as well. The senator is going to continue to fight for arts and cultural funding, specifically $200 million for NISCA funding. He's also pushing for additional funding for cultural institutions in CB8. The Met is a big one. We did want more funding towards the Met. The New York Senate did pass his bill S-1468, and that will create consistency for consumer access to health and medical records. So that way you won't have to pay to transfer records or, all those different technical issues. And also on Friday, March 28th, from 10 to 1, we will host our offsite constituent hours in CB8 at Stanley Isaacs. Stop by if you have any issues that you want to discuss with us, and as always, you can come by our office at 335 East 100th Street. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Is that power strip on?
This microphone.
No, I'm saying
It is.
strip is on.
It is,
Okay.
yeah.
All the lights are showing up, it's just not.
Yeah, okay, I just wanted to make sure.
All right, hi all, I'm Carolyn and I cover CB8 for Councilmember Keith Powers. Capital funding requests are due tomorrow. Our office has previously funded renovations at Hunter College, bathrooms at Wagner, playground improvements, trees, and a brand new library at PS6, which just opened. The council member and I got to visit last week. The library looks beautiful. And it's a reminder, oh, we were with Alex Forrest too, PS6 alum. And the library looks amazing. And it's just a reminder that when we all come up here and talk about these funding requests, that money turns into real investments into our community. 2 weeks ago, our office co-hosted a job fair with an organization called Commissary. There was great turnout and we're hoping to host more events like that in the future. A building on 61st and 3rd just went up on Housing Connect with 27 affordable units, most at 40 and 60 AMI. Keith is leading a push for the state to increase the income eligibility limits for recipients of SCREE and DREE. That's the rent increase exemption for seniors and people with disabilities. We're asking for the income limit to be tied to the rate of inflation. Makes sense, right? So we're nearing the end of heat season. And some of the constituent services work that I personally found the most gratifying is coordinating with HPD and holding landlords accountable to make sure seniors have heat at legal levels in our community. The council member agreed with CB8's resolution and submitted testimony opposing the proposed Link 5G tower on 86th and Madison. And finally, the scaffolding reform package, which I've been talking about for a long time, is in the home stretch. So be on the lookout for more news next week. And fingers crossed that in another month or so, we can all celebrate shedding the sheds. Thank you.
Okay, great. Will there be a ceremony for that, for the first one that comes out?
Yeah, we should have one.
Okay.
Is that it on Friday?
No.
No. Yeah. I
Come on,
tried.
Courtney, you can do it.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Courtney Pharisee, representing the Office of Assembly Member Rebecca C. Wright. As the budget process continues and as chair of the Aging Committee, Assemblymember C. Wright is fighting for funding for vital services for the aging. This week, she introduced legislation to combat grandparent financial scams because older New Yorkers are losing more than $200 million a year from scams. In 2023, scammers were taking on average $23,000 per hour from people over age 60. Under this legislation, bank tellers would receive training developed by the state to detect exploitation, and a financial institution would then be able to place a hold on suspicious transactions to allow time for law enforcement to investigate. Today at the Capitol, CB8's very own Lindsay Cormack was honored by Assemblymember C. Wright as a woman of distinction in our community. As always, consider our office a resource. We're hosting a rent-free clinic on Wednesday, April 9th, a mobile screening mammogram bus for eligible women on Thursday, April 10th. And again, please don't hesitate to reach us 212-288-4607 or by email at crightr@nyassembly.gov.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hi there, I'm Audrey from Liz Kruger's office. Yes, the budget is.
Can you, Audrey, can you just?
Sorry.
The
Microphones don't
does not
work.
work. You have to use your
Oh,
own
okay.
power of,
My voice, I have to use, okay, I will use my classroom voice. I'm Audrey from Liz Kruger's office. As everyone has said, the budget is happening now in Albany. Liz is chair of the Senate Finance Committee, but as you know, the Senate puts out a budget, the Assembly does, and the governor does. In New York State, frankly, the governor holds most of the cards. However, this is a time of negotiation, and of course, Liz is up there, Rebecca's up there, Alex is up there, Jose is up there, and they're all negotiated on behalf of you all for the best budget that could possibly come out. I do want to read Liz's statement about the budget, which is, I am proud of the strong one House budget proposal that the Senate majority is putting forward. This one House is laser focused on delivering for New Yorkers in the face of the affordability crisis. It restores childcare funding, reduces taxes for the middle class, provides tax credits for working families and low-wage workers, and pushes forward with cap and invest and other environmental priorities that will save money for the vast majority of New Yorkers while delivering vitally needed progress to fight the climate crisis. And again, New York Heat is at the center of what Liz and many of her colleagues hope the governor will also support and get through in this budget. That being said, we all understand that looming above this all is the federal government and the federal budget. So on April 22nd, Tuesday, save the date, at the Graduate Center, Liz will be hosting an in-person. I run out of time, but there'll be lots of other people on the panel.
Well, that's a good
It's
cliffhanger.
about information and action.
Okay,
Thank
details to
you.
follow. Next,
Sorry.
Harry, can you top that? Go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Great to be here. Harry Gale from Councilmember Menin's office. I have about 4 updates. I'll try to get to them all. First of all, thank you so much, CB8. Thanks so much, Alita Camp. Thanks so much to the whole committee, to the special representative that you sent for our amazing Art Bridge event that we did with PS 183 last week. It was great to show the kids what their art has actually become in real life and to be able to beautify what will be a very long construction site. So that's an impact that Community Board 8, PS 183, those students have had. That's going to be up for everyone to see. So thank you all for your great partnership there. I want to talk about participatory budgeting, my favorite time of year personally. The cycle starts next Saturday, March 29th, and ends Sunday, April 6th. We're super excited. We have a great ballot that's being finalized right now. We have everything from school bathrooms, accessibility projects, things like a new auditorium, and band rooms and art classrooms for schools. We have an AC unit for the new for the 19th police precinct. We have things for our parks and trees and great things like tree guards. And we want everyone to vote. So you're gonna have to vote either in person at one of our voting sites, which will be at every library in our district, including Roosevelt Island, or you could vote online, and we encourage you to do so. Not sure how I'm doing on time. The council is now working on its formal response to the mayor's preliminary budget. We're working to secure our dollars. Again, we're back trying to protect our libraries, our school funding, especially now with what's happening on the federal government. And we hope to have some great news for everyone here soon. Lastly, the council member just introduced her legislation today that would mandate that we spend more money as a city to hire enforce what our laws are there on the books, so that we have better cleanup and all types of things like that. Thanks so much for having me. Take care.
Thanks, Harry.
Of course.
Hi, Sophie.
Hello. Hi, everyone. It's budget season in Albany right now, and the legislator is negotiating on how to spend over $250 billion of revenue. Alex is up in Albany advocating for the needs of Upper East Siders and bringing $3 million in initiatives to the 73rd district. Alex's proposal to expand Medicare services to patients trying to preserve their fertility in the face of life-threatening illness has been endorsed through the budget process by the governor and both houses of the legislature, which is a great thing. Several more of our bills, like cracking down on illegal moped dealers and installing a commission to review outdated laws, have also been endorsed in the budget negotiation process. We have introduced a couple bills this month. One of our top priorities is street safety. We recently published the Consider Safety Act, a bill to make delivery apps take responsibilities if their bikers engage in unsafe conduct on the road. We also introduced the RAISE Act, which is a landmark piece of AI legislation that would ensure that the most powerful models have to have safety plans and disclosure incidents of particularly dangerous behavior. Lastly, we introduced bills to increase AI transparency, lower taxes on businesses south of 96th Street, and to provide a right of repair for wheelchair owners. Another announcement, we now have notary services at our office, Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Our office is located at 353 Lexington Ave. And I will keep it short because the assembly member will be joining via Zoom later to talk about our bill, which would lower the in-person quorum required for meetings. Yeah, that's it.
Can I just ask you 353 Lex, which streets is that between?
41st and Lex.
Okay.
Yep.
Thanks. Okay, thank you, everyone. Chair's report, that would be me. A couple of things. We literally heard on Monday from the Department of Transportation that the application from Birch, Watson, Lennox is not moving forward. And so that street will remain either open or closed, depending upon how you look at it. It will stay as it is today. So we were thanked by the Manhattan Borough Commissioner for our bringing certain facts to their attention. And I think that's a very good example of how the community board works to listen to the community and advocate as strenuously as possible. So I think that was a good outcome for us. As was mentioned by Sawaiba, there were quite a few applications to become members of the community board that were submitted by new people, which is always great. Some of them are sitting here in the audience tonight. Hi, Mr. Solomon. So we'll see in a couple of weeks what happens with those. But for those of us who reapplied, I think there are actually 5 open seats. And I don't take that to the bank. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's 5. Maybe 6. Maybe, but okay, so we will have new faces. And so in that regard, I think it's going to be very important to have some volunteers come forward that will want to mentor these new people and show them the ropes of how things work on our board. The last thing I want to talk about tonight is Lenox Hill Hospital. First, I just want to thank everyone for their participation in the last meeting. It went very smoothly, and we heard from a lot of people. We heard from everyone who was registered. We did receive a lot of written comments, and I urge all of our board members to review those. The next time we will be talking about Lenox Hill Hospital will be via our land use meeting on April 9th. Everyone who registered to speak, who was actually there when their name was called, and their name was called at least 3 or 4 times before we moved on, spoke. And so it will not be necessary to hear from anybody at the scheduled zoning meeting this month. So that will not happen. We're going to go straight to, if you will, executive session of the land use committee on April 9th. And the way that will be working is Lenox Hill Hospital will be there. And I am setting at least the first 45 minutes to an hour for Q&A between board members and the representatives of the hospital. And then we will proceed to entertain a motion that's made from the floor by one of our board members, and we will take it from there. And we'll see what happens. And then it will we will vote one way or another. And then it will move to the borough president's office. And as I explained at the beginning of the first hearing of the other night, it will move back to city planning and then to the city council based on the ULURP schedule. So I just wanted to thank everyone for their civil participation in the previous meeting. We received a lot of kudos for how that went, and it's all, and it looks smooth because of all the work that goes on behind the scenes. So I just want to thank everyone for that. And that is, I just want to highlight again, I know that besides bikes, rats are the top topic. So tomorrow night is our sanitation meeting. So I invite everyone, if you have a building super or someone with an issue, please send them or have them listen in for the meeting. I think it'll be very informative for everyone. Okay, done. Thank you.
Quick DM report. Number one, thanks for everybody who helped make last Wednesday run so smoothly. Regarding our next land use meeting, if you look on our website right now, it says it's at Marymount. You all know how big that space is at Marymount. The reason why we're in this room today is in case there was going to be overflow. we're moving it. It will be somewhere else. I don't know where yet. I'm trying to find a new venue. Waiting to hear back from some of our community partners who have bigger spaces, just in case people want to be in the room while you guys make it happen. There is a new episode of CB8 Speaks on our website featuring
Sharon.
okay, featuring Sharon. All right, so go check that out, share it, and if you have noticed, we have a new staff member starting last week, Jordan Lee. She's fantastic. She's off to a great start. Nope, that's a terrible pun. But unfortunately, her start was slowed by crutches, and so she will not be in person with you guys for a couple of months this weekend. So if you need anything from her, obviously you can reach her with her phone and her email. If anybody needs her for the new committees, is Lee, Lee at CB8M.com. We also know now that we have a new staff member, there's going to be some new liaisons to different committees. So I'll be sending out a report, or a list of all the committees and their members, and who the staff liaison is. But also when you get that, look and see where your name appears on committees. If you are listed as a part of a committee that you don't go to, maybe speak to us about dropping from that committee. Or if you attend a committee frequently and you thought you were a member of it, let us know, and so we can add you to the roster as well. And that is enough of my report. Thank you.
Okay, one item, you can see that I posted a lot of signs for our call for artists. So that's open, and if you are artistically inclined, please think about joining us that evening or day, actually. Okay, so
May 31st.
May 31st.
And right now we're soliciting anybody who wants to submit their art to participate in the show. So that date I don't know. When do you see it?
April 21st.
April 21st. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, April 21st to submit your art to info@cb8m.com with the title art submissions in the header so that I can sort it into the right column.
Okay, great. So street life, we're gonna start uncharacteristically with street life first. Lindsay, it's all yours.
Okay, so a lot of times when I step up here, we like jump and do it. I wanna tell you a few things before we get into this. We had over 25 items of business at our committee meeting, so there was a lot. We had a number of them that are unanimous. We had a number of them that aren't. We had some people who are just ideologically opposed to any outdoor dining, which is like something that some of us might share. I'm happy to go through any of the specific ones that we didn't have unanimous agreement on. But I think it would be nice and expedient if we did the unanimous ones together, and then if you have ones in the minutes that you're like, ooh, I really want to talk about it, we can do that, but it's a lot. And our meeting was expedient, but a lot. So if we want to take the unanimous ones together.
If you want to take the unanimous ones together, just
maybe
give
we
me a.
don't.
What?
All categories. Ideological red herring.
If it's a-
Yeah, I am ideologically opposed. I could only attend for 2 hours in the street life. Lindsay did an incredible job for any of you who happen to be on the Zoom call, just absolutely incredible. But I'm a negative on all of them, so.
Okay.
Thank you.
I appreciate that. Can we just say, I know can we just say the names of the restaurants at least so we know for the record?
To do it by the letters.
We
Instead
can.
of the names of
They're
the,
all listed. They're listed.
because you have up until X on number 2.
Yes, because so for one is our like standard applications, so like 1B, 1C, 1D, 1E, those are not outdoor dining.
Why would you have 1A?
Well, 1A wasn't a unanimous approval.
She's only doing the unanimous
Unanimous ones.
approvals.
Yes.
Can you list the restaurants?
Yes, guys, I can list the restaurants. There's 26 of them.
Okay, all right, there's 20, okay.
One question on all the unanimous approvals in section 1.
Okay.
Second.
Yeah,
Well, just for the people who don't have an agenda in front of them, for the record.
The address is 851 Main Street.
give me, what's the number on it? One what?
It is
I'm also against anything in the street.
Okay, right now we're not doing street stuff. Right now we're just doing normal liquor licenses, 4 of which have unanimous approvals. Is that what you're talking about?
I just think all of the addresses are in this neighborhood and this one is not Roosevelt. My apologies for not being familiar with Roosevelt Islands.
Okay, but that's a clarification. That's why I was really asking for.
Hanging offense.
Okay, that's fine. And reiterate again, how many we're taking now, what
We
we're.
would be taking 4 of them. It would be 1B, 1C, 1D, 1E, which are standards application for liquor licenses. They were unanimously approved. There's 4 of them.
Right.
Okay, and there's a
That's
motion on the
illegal.
floor. There's a motion on the floor
Yeah.
to take them all together and approve them. And there's a second. So everyone in favor? Okay, is there anyone opposed?
And this is a reminder, anybody participating on Zoom, you have to have your camera on to be counted for a vote. So right now, Sahar and Peggy and Will and Sasha
Or out.
are in.
Okay,
Okay, so
Oh,
then,
and Abraham, so.
And
all of them
Abraham.
now.
okay, now move to your next category.
okay, so that includes the 1E, that Roosevelt Island one. Yeah. okay.
Yes, okay.
Okay, so then when we get to the second ones. It's the roadway and sidewalk dining, so there's splits.
Can I make a general
That
comment?
still is
No.
liquor stuff.
What about A?
Oh, there's a non-unanimous approval for 1A. You're right, let's do that.
What about the twos, the unanimous approval?
We'll get to the 2s. Let's do 1A first.
She's the chair, let her.
Let's do
try to
1A,
do it.
let's do 1A first, I guess. 1A, because I imagine, here's why I'm saying this. The unanimous approvals were probably unanimous because Jane was not on the call. They would not have been unanimous if Jane had stayed on the call. That's
But that's
exactly
okay,
what-
we're
that's
gonna
right.
register her vote as a no, so, okay.
But others might have no there
And,
too.
and David,
General comment I want to make about the road bed. There's been a change in the law, so when you're ready.
We're not there yet.
Okay, I think we should do the non-unanimous 1A, which was for 945 Madison Restaurant Venture LLC. Marco voted no, 10 other people on the committee voted yes. Marco?
I think this application is too premature. Because recently we approved unanimously to become this building as an interior landmark. And the applicant didn't have the certificate of operation or public assembly permit, which basically analyze the use and the organization, the interior spaces, as well as the number of exits. And 240 people, they may need many exits. And this is the job of the Department of Buildings. So with that document, I think it's wrong to approve an application. They should obtain this document, come back, and I will support.
So here's how this went down in the committee. What Marco's talking about is a certificate of operation, which is if you have more than 75 people doing indoors or 200 people doing outdoors. The applicant said that they would not open without this piece, but they did not have this piece in their application. They were willing to agree to a stipulation on that. So 10 of us said yes, and Marco said no. Happy to do a roll call vote with everyone. Yes.
Yeah, I would be opposed also, because my understanding is they're talking about an occupancy of about 240 people. Now, that building is a landmark. If the fire, without input from the fire department as to whether or not that amount of people can be safely held in that space, they are going to apply for another egress, which means they will have to cut into that building. We don't have that information, but certainly if they're going over the safe amount of occupancy, that is going to have to happen in order for them to go forward. And this is a landmark building. So, I mean, this building was sort of abused enough in this whole transition. And to have this done because they want a bigger cafe, I understand the finances involved in that, but that is a real violation of the frick. I mean, that is a real violation. I am vehemently opposed to this.
Okay. Is it?
Yes, the frick.
Isn't it the boys?
No, the frick.
It's 945 Madison Restaurant.
The Frick is not on Madison Avenue.
Yeah, 945.
This is Savoy.
70s.
Yeah, it's 74 and 75.
This is the space-
well, that's a landmark as well.
Right, this is the space that has been a restaurant.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, not everybody all at once, come on.
Not, it has been a restaurant.
Hold on, let's hear from
downstairs.
Elizabeth.
Not for
It's been a
240.
sizable restaurant. I don't know that any of us knows exactly how many covers that restaurant could seat at any one moment in time. But I bet it's pretty close to this. I don't think that any applicant would go in there and say, I'm going to crowd this space to the point that it's not operable.
It's like the old Frick. It's the old Frick's bottom part. Yeah, the bottom
It's
part.
not the
Yeah,
best.
the old, well, the old.
It's the old building.
It's downstairs.
Okay,
Okay.
yes.
So I have confidence that if they're stipulating that they're not gonna open unless they have the certificate, they will get the certificate.
I believe so too.
Okay, let's everybody read the resolution because it says, subject to the STIP, so,
And the applicant agrees to obtain it as one of the stipulations.
okay, is there a motion to approve? Go ahead.
I'd like to move to approve.
Second, question.
Okay.
I think the motion is already.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so on the question, let's,
Okay.
if they're roll calling, I don't know.
We need to roll call? Okay, let's do it.
Is it to approve or disapprove?
Approve.
Approve. It's approved with a stipulation that they'll get what Marco says they're lacking before they open.
Anderson,
Yes.
Angelos,
Yes.
Ashby,
Does somebody have a phone on?
Reckler.
Please go outside if you can't turn it off.
Ashby,
No.
Birnbaum,
No.
Boris,
Yes.
Camp,
Pass.
Chu,
Yes.
Coleman,
Yes.
Cormac,
Yes.
Barber,
Yes.
Alan Clark,
Yes.
Hartzog,
Yes.
Halpern,
Yes.
Hershenson,
Yes.
Hussein,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Prickler,
Yes.
later, yes, Lev,
Yes.
Mason,
Yes.
McClement,
Yes.
Meyerson,
Yes.
Partial,
Yes.
Phillips,
Yes.
Hope Marshall,
Yes.
Price,
Yes.
Rose,
Yes.
Rudder,
Yes.
Salcido,
Yes.
Sanchez,
Yes.
Sassen,
Yes.
Seligson,
Yeah. Yes.
Selim,
Yes.
Squire,
Yes.
Stein,
Not here. I think.
is he not on?
Is
Who's
he
remote?
on Zoom?
Stein, sorry.
Here, I'm here, yes.
Sorry, can't see out of the back of my head.
Tamayo,
No.
Wald,
Yes.
Thanks for
Warren,
pointing that out.
Yes.
Weiner,
Yes.
and back to Camp.
Yes.
Okay. Instead of going to the new roadway ones, because there are 23 of them, I think we should take the cannabis one because there's only one and it was a non-unanimous disapproval. The applicant at that time didn't have sort of like a rendering of what the street was, like how you were gonna see it from the street, what the inside was gonna be, whereas all of our other applicants, it didn't have a name specified. And so we didn't have in the estimation of more, the majority was a disapproval for this. I understand that in the week and a half since this, some of this material has been sent in, and I think, Will, you have it?
It's at the very end.
Yeah, oh, yeah, it's in
Yeah,
the,
and we were gonna
it's-
like put it up
oh.
for people, I guess, is what we talked about at the end of the meeting.
very happy to do that.
Thank you.
So both the landmarks minutes.
Which you will notice if you have been by Lenox Hill Cannabis, it's like the same style or aesthetic as the Lenox Hill Cannabis because it's the same people. So. Barbara?
Call the question.
And.
Is this on the disapproval?
It was a non-unanimous disapproval. Sorry.
So a yes is
so
a
many to
no?
scroll.
Well, are you switching it now because he came up with the sign or?
Well, I mean, we could do it either way, really.
I'm sorry, I want to take it back. I would
Okay.
like to make an alternate, but if it's called, to say that it's an approved resolution.
You would like to make a motion to approve?
Substitute.
No, a
motion, thank you.
substitute motion.
That it's an approval.
Okay, a substitute motion,
Second.
okay. Ed, I feel like you have something.
I had a question. Did you say this location is run by the one at 73rd that we approved before, same people?
Yes.
Yeah, it's the same people who are here right now.
Well, he wasn't here when the man was speaking.
Oh, sorry, yes, you missed him earlier, but yes, yes.
Somebody can call.
Robin?
Hi, Lindsay. Did we address the 1,000-foot rule with this applicant?
I feel like Paul has an answer on this.
No.
Oh.
Please, Paul.
I don't recall if we did that sweep. I think they probably had. I don't recall.
Okay, that's that's a big issue. So-
Yeah, in my sort of like mental map of the open cannabis stores right now, there's not one near this location. Maybe you have a more precise answer.
It wouldn't be picked
Yeah.
if there wasn't.
Yeah, well, that's actually not strictly true now.
That's,
That's not
the
strictly
rules
true.
are changing.
Yeah, the rules are changing, where they're gonna give like waivers to a bunch of them for like 500 feet, but
What I want to say is that the New York State Office of Cannabis Management published a website for a map. So I did go screen the address and there were no other dispensaries.
yeah, I don't think there are in that vicinity either. Paul?
I'd like to call the question.
That sounds great,
And roll call?
I guess, probably.
Go.
What
did you do?
This is a motion to approve.
A substitute.
Yes, a substitute motion to approve. And we're
Call the
gonna vote
question.
on it. Yes, the question's been called, yeah.
Anderson,
Oh.
Angelos. Ashby,
Oh.
Birnbaum,
No.
Boris,
Yes.
Camp,
No.
Chu,
Yes.
Coleman, Cormac,
Yes.
Faber,
Yes.
Hallam Clark, yes. Hartzog,
Yes.
Halpern,
Oh.
Hershenson,
Yeah.
Hussein,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Crickler,
Yes.
Later,
Yes.
Leif,
Yeah.
Mason,
No,
McClement,
No.
Mayerson, Partial,
No.
Phillips,
Yes.
Pope Marshall,
Yes.
Price,
No.
Rose,
Yes.
Rudder,
Yes.
Salcedo,
Yes.
Sanchez,
Yes.
Sasson,
Yeah.
Seligson, Salam,
Yes.
Squire,
Yes.
Stein,
Yes.
Tamayo,
No.
Wald,
Yes.
Warren,
Yes.
Weiner,
Yes.
and we had Phillips,
Yes.
2631, pass.
2613.
Sorry, 13, pass.
Yeah. Okay, so for two A through 2X, this is all for new roadway and sidewalk dining. You're welcome to like peruse them. We had a bunch of unanimous ones, but like I said, that's because Jane wasn't on the call. There are a few other people who voted against some of them, but mostly that wasn't the case. Yes.
Yeah, so for the record, I'll vote no on all of them, just so save my vote. But let me make this comment. Before these licenses were to be issued, they were supposed to have certain set of specification, and then the licenses would be granted if they got all those. This has subsequently been changed. The DOT is now granting what they call conditional licensing, so that none of these has to reach any of the requirements for roadway dining in order to get their license. They will get a conditional license, and then theoretically, the DOT will inspect, will find out whether or not they're compliant. In this new ruling, they offer no date for compliance. So theoretically, these things, we know about the manpower in all of our enforcing agencies, and certainly the DOT. It is very insufficient to manage a program like this. So it is very possible that non-compliant roadbed dining establishments will remain non-compliant because it will never be enforced and there's no date by which it has to be enforced.
Okay.
Okay.
Having said that, I will vote no on all of them.
Okay, I should also point out, there's two of them that you might want to have your attention to. 2B was withdrawn because enough people pushed back on it, so 2B is sort of off the table. And then there is one where we had a 441 where we said that the committee took no position on it, so we should probably do 2H separately. I don't know if we're thinking we want to do all of these together, or if people have some that they want to call out. Russell?
And you have a hand up on Zoom too.
Oh, I'm sorry, I don't even ever look there. Let's do Russell first.
I'm not gonna call the question because I want to respond to Michelle, but it seems like we could call the question on all of them.
You talk loud, you talk loud. Can't hear you.
Yeah, we could call the question on all of the unanimous ones and just register the people who are like in principle opposed to those, and that's a potential idea. Just in response to Michelle, there are a lot of issues that we take up where the application is signed, the person is certifying that they're gonna comply with what they put in the application. You know, you can do this for basically every committee, like for the liquor licenses that we do, they talk about the various things that they're gonna do, enforcement of all of the rules and other kinds of stipulations that we put in. And their liquor license is issued to them before anybody ever goes out and inspects.
Okay, please step out, Marco, if you're not gonna turn it off.
To inspect the location to confirm that they're complying. Landmarks, they'll submit what their plans are, they certify it, whatever, we approved it. No one's going out to confirm that the thing they're building is like that before we've done our approval.
Oh, yes, they
And the
do.
license get issued. So it's no different here. The way that we did it, if you were at the meeting, our evaluation of all of these was in relation to whether they are complying with all the rules. So we were very, very scrupulous about making sure there was enough sidewalk space, all the different requirements. We looked at all that stuff. And to the point about 2B, that's an example of one that actually was withdrawn because of the fact that we were looking at these requirements very carefully and enforcing them. So.
And because people came with pictures very clearly violating this, yeah, it was very helpful.
So the idea that they're not going to be inspected beforehand, I don't think is a reason to oppose any of those applications.
Okay, let me go to the Zoom one and then we'll go to Chuck. Oh, Sasha's probably gonna say she also ideologically opposed these.
Well, I'm not going to say I ideologically oppose everything, but I do think beyond a certain number, I do oppose, and that's how I voted. So some of the applicants had 68 chairs, 72 chairs, and I think as much as people love outdoor dining, they should consider that those restaurants should be actually filling vacant commercial space in our neighborhood instead of taking up sidewalks or roadways instead, because there's still plenty of commercial vacancies for restaurants. So being, saying that anything over 24 chairs, I will stay as a no. I did leave early for the meeting, but that's my little soapbox for that one. Thank you.
That's why you'll notice our unanimous are 2L and above, because everyone was there until 2L. Yes.
I'd just like to put a little context into this. First, as you know, in the temporary program, we had many, many restaurants that qualified and that opened, and it was an economic boom to restaurants in a difficult time. This permanent program, we have many, many fewer applicants. And what happened is the Department of Transportation, after getting all these applicants, had approved like 7. And it was a total mess. That's why they went into this conditional situation, so people could finally get going, and and then they would check to see if they were in compliance. So I think I'm not a big fan of outdoor dining, it's not something that we have, my wife and I do particularly, but I think restaurants in this town are undergoing a very difficult situation, and they're constricted. They can't occupy a vacant building. They can only do it in front of so they're not gonna buy another building just to do that. That's economic, makes no sense. So basically, I'm supportive of these things. They're a very small number of them. And I think it's very important for the economics of the city.
Okay, so my question to us collectively is if we have individual ones that we want to pull out, or if we want to take them all together.
All together.
I think all together is easier. But I don't know if there's some that people object to. 2H, I would hold aside because 2H has a no position. Is that what you?
I think it's a K too.
2K?
Because we have some people for that area right now in Zoom. We have to talk about this restaurant or the
No,
bar.
2K was a 4-3.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we need to pull it out.
Oh, you're saying you wanna pull it out because other people are getting, okay,
Yeah, the rest.
fine. If we wanna pull out 2K and 2H, that's fine with me. If there's any other ones. 2C, I need a pen. I can't keep track of this.
Oh, yeah. No. Just no.
Just type it instead. Okay, so 2K, 2H, 2C.
2G. CGH and.
K.
K.
You failed the eye test, no.
So K, C, G, H.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay, do we wanna take the rest of them?
Yes.
Can I just ask point of information? How much do each of these restaurants pay for the use of the road bed? Does anybody know?
It's on
No
a per,
idea.
it's on a per square foot basis.
The application's $12.50, is it not?
Okay, I don't mean to start a discussion. I just thought it
I
would.
think he has the answer.
Close to $5,000 for the year. And let me just make another comment on it. So we have extremely strict rules
Louder,
what we're
louder.
allowed to do with this. So for example, I had a very large one. The one I have now is literally 3 tables with 6 chairs, just because, and we have a huge frontage. I mean, we're on an avenue and we're on the street itself. So we have a tiny, tiny space. It's also pretty cost prohibitive based on the amount of revenue we'll be able to bring in with it. But we do it because our customers like it. The vast majority of the restaurants are doing it to accommodate their customers. It doesn't create an economic windfall at this stage of the game. It was certainly helpful during COVID, and I'll tell you, most of my customers are upset that I'm not gonna have a huge one this year. So I mean, I understand the trepidation, and just because I'm a restaurant guy doesn't mean I agree with most restaurant guys. I think a lot of them weren't done properly. But I don't think there's a huge concern here, in my humble opinion. But the cost is gonna be roughly between $1,200 and $5,000, depending upon a whole bunch of things.
Okay, thank
Can I
you.
just make a point of information, just so, building on what was said before in terms of the question as to how much this costs? There's an application fee and then there's a separate
That's right.
revocable consent fee, which is based on a per square foot basis.
Okay,
Okay, so we would take out 2K, 2C, K, G, H, and M, so that's the disapprovals and the oddities. M was a disapproval, so I think it makes sense to take it out. But the rest of them are unanimous approvals or non-unanimous approvals, except for those 5. Yes,
Oh, question on those. Unanimous.
a motion to approve on the unanimous and the non-unanimous?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Second, yes.
Okay, but then do people wanna say no if they're gonna vote no for them? Feel like there's a few of you who are gonna vote no.
who's gonna vote no on all of them?
I am.
Yeah, it feels good to just like put that down.
Okay,
Keep your hands.
And Sasha is gonna vote no on anything over 24
All right,
tables.
so I'm just gonna.
Or chairs.
And when I call your name, please, lower your hand, so that will mean I recorded that you're voting no on all of them, so Jane. Adam. David. Michelle. Alita. Is there anyone else or anyone on Zoom?
Adam,
Sasha, what's her bright line? And I'll just figure out which one she's voting no on. 24 chairs?
Yeah, she said 24.
and everybody else is a yes?
Yes.
Okay,
Let's figure out what she's no on later. I'll do that.
Yeah, okay.
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 Okay, so then maybe we take these 5 sort of on their own. 2C is,
Wait, I'm sorry, I was confused. Yes, for those. I thought we were voting on the
Okay.
ones we pulled out, so I'd be yes on the other.
How could you?
Sorry.
So you're
Okay.
not fundamentally opposed, just. so
Okay, she's
you're a
voting
yes
yes on all of them. She misheard.
okay, so all of those have been approved. Hooray, we have 5 more to do. 2C is,
Dorian's.
yeah, 2C is Dorian's. This was a 6-3. They have a roadway cafe with 36 tables and 72 chairs.
Huge.
And if you care to see the renderings, it's in the documents from the committee stuff.
Yeah, can I make a comment about this?
Yeah,
Okay, I'm on that block 4 times a week. And when they have their outdoor dining there, it was a mess. It was hardly ever used, but took up a lot of space on a block where there are a substantial number of small businesses who rely on the ability to have the street cleaned And those structures, and I know they're gonna be a little bit different, but rely on that to keep the street cleaned. And when all of that came up, the businesses on that block experienced a real reduction in the number of rats on that block. And so I'm gonna vote against this.
Isn't Dorian's on
Okay.
84th Street?
Yeah, 84th Street.
I thought you said it was your street.
No, I said I'm on that street 4 times a week at
Okay.
least.
Okay, let's do Jane.
Oh, call the question.
Okay,
I just want to quick comment. So I tend to be on your side of the argument when it comes to cleanliness and rats. One thing I'll just say as a point of information, the new guidelines is obviously it's seasonal. It also has to be completely removable, so most people are not gonna be able to put up much more than 10 chairs under that. And I'm just saying.
I know, but you know, also there were 3 other restaurants on that block too, and we haven't seen all of them, because unlike the 1,000-foot rule for cannabis, that's not gonna be the rule for restaurants. So I can say that block for the first time doesn't have a rat problem
Yeah.
since everything came up.
I'm not.
No,
I just.
No, I appreciate that.
okay, do we have a motion on the floor? Did someone do this?
Yeah,
Yes.
so those
Call the
of us who
question.
have already
Okay,
voted
so this is
don't
for
have
two
to
C.
vote.
Well, this is for 2C, which
Okay.
is different. Some people, it sounds like some people who were yeses might be nos on this
Yes.
one, so maybe do a roll call for this.
Okay. All right, Anderson.
No.
Angelos,
Yes.
Ashby, Birnbaum, no. Boris,
Yes.
Camp,
No.
Chu,
Yes.
Coleman. Cormac,
Yes.
Barber,
Yes.
Hallam Clark,
Yes.
Hartzog,
Yes.
Halpern,
Oh.
Hershenson,
Yes.
Hussein,
No.
Johnson,
Yes.
Brickler,
Yes.
Later, yes, Lev,
Yes.
Mason,
No,
McClemens,
No.
Meyerson,
No.
Partial,
No.
Phillips,
Yes.
Pope Marshall,
No.
Price,
No.
Rose,
No.
Rudder,
Yes.
Salcido,
Yes.
Sanchez,
Yes.
Sassen,
Yes.
Seligson, Selim,
No.
Squire, Stein,
I'm apologizing. I need to understand yes and no. I missed it for a sec.
yes means
Yes,
yes in
means yes
this
to
case.
approve.
Yes, say it again.
Yes means yes.
yes is for 36 tables and 72 chairs.
No.
Tamayo,
No.
Wald, Warren,
Yes.
Weiner,
No.
all right, and Ashby,
No.
And I think Sasha's a no on this one.
yeah, so that,
Oh, right.
I changed it, but now it's true.
You can change to a no.
Yes. Yes, you can.
who was that?
No, but no.
Okay,
That's a no.
Do we have pass?
Hmm?
We went back to our pass.
yeah, so it looks like the motion failed 19 to 20.
Oh, wow.
Okay, Dorian's. Next is 2G.
Before you move on,
Should we get it?
an absence.
So we put the
Oh.
substitute motion to approve, disapprove.
Should we ask if?
And then just flip everyone's vote? Motion to disapprove?
Yes,
Feel fine with this?
yes.
Can we flip everyone's vote? Elizabeth feels not okay?
I missed it. What's?
Instead of having a failed motion to approve, the idea would be to have a motion to disapprove that passes. And so it would carry 20 to 19.
Mine's next.
Okay,
Okay.
That's a
so
yes
Let's
for
do
both.
that. Let's do that.
okay, next.
Okay, so next is 2G. 2G is, yeah, Avra Madison. It's 25 tables and 58 chairs. No one from the public objected. This was a 6-3. Jane, Robin, and Sasha voted against it. Robin?
Just why I voted against it. That's a whole new restaurant. How many chairs?
58.
That's the whole second restaurant.
Russell?
Counterpoint, so what? The number of chairs is the number that it is. It's based on the frontage of the restaurant.
Right.
That's all there is to it. The fact that it may be a large number, it doesn't matter. It's just like, if it's an okay place for them to do it, if it's a responsible operator, if they're gonna comply with the rules, that's really what it is. The idea, and by the way, they're paying per square footage, so the fact that it's a lot, they're paying a lot. So unless there's like a specific issue with them, I think we should approve it.
Barbara?
Yeah, I'd just like to add to what Chuck said. I love eating outside, and when you pass by restaurants, New Yorkers love to eat outside. This is not just for the restaurant, but it adds to a liveliness of the streets, a brightness of the streets, and enjoying the streetscape. Not everybody likes to eat outside, that's fine, but so many people do. If you pass a restaurant, every outdoor seat is taken. And this is just, if it's a lot of tables, it's because it's a lot of footage.
Sharon?
I'd like to call the question to approve.
Second.
Okay, let's do that. This is a motion to approve for 60 Hospitality, doing business as Auburn Madison.
Anderson.
Yes.
Angelos.
Yes.
Ashby.
Yes.
Birnbaum.
No.
No. Boris.
Yes.
Camp.
No.
Chu.
Yes.
Coleman. Cormac.
Yes.
Faber.
Yes.
Helen Clark, yes. Herzog.
Yes.
Helper, no still. Hershenson.
Yes.
Hussein.
Yes.
Wait, that was a yes?
Yes, it's them. Yes. Change my thing. Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Cricklet.
Yeah.
Later.
Yes.
Lev.
Yes.
Mason.
Yes.
McClellan.
Yes.
Meyerson.
Yeah.
Partial.
No.
Phillips.
Yes.
Pope Marshall.
Yes.
Price.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Rudder.
Yes.
Salcedo. Yes. Sanchez.
Yes.
Sasson.
Yes.
Seligson. Sellon.
No.
Squire. Stein.
Yes.
Tamayo.
Yes.
Wald.
No.
Warren.
Yes.
Weiner.
Yes.
32 yes, 7 no.
Okay, what's
Okay.
next?
So now we have 2H Brasserie Cognac East. This one was a 441. I'm actually trying to look at the YouTube, but it's a 3-hour YouTube to figure out. Marco, do you remember why Brasserie Cognac East? Because it was big, is that what we were fighting about?
No, I don't know.
I don't remember, Jane.
Well, I voted against it. I happen to live in that neighborhood.
Oh, you know.
They already have tables and chairs outside on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
And then right next to that would be the shed, which used to exist. And then there's a waiter station, like right on the sidewalk with waiters always going back and forth. Not only that, 70th Street is very narrow. So as you guys know, I'm in a different world on this. Thank you.
I hear you.
Ed?
Yeah, I know there, the problem with that, in my humble opinion, is that the egress along Lexington is very succinctly is brutal when you walk through there back in the day, because to Jane's point, you almost had to go sideways to get through there. But on the other hand, when you turn the corner and you're on 70th, it's more room. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but anybody who's been on Lexington in that corner knows what I'm talking about. So I'm sort of torn myself, because if they just limited it to 70th the way they had it, I'm okay with it, but that conflagration they have on Lexington is really, it doesn't need the egress along the sidewalk. It is an extension basically of, in my opinion, it's basically an extension of, think of like those RVs that pop out, it's like that onto, all the way to the avenue.
Okay.
Call the question?
Fine with me.
Second.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go for it.
Just Anderson. Angelos. Ashby. Birnbaum. Boris.
Yes.
Camp.
No.
Chu.
Pass.
Coleman. Cormac.
Pass.
Faber.
I'll abstain since I stepped out of the room.
Helen Clark, yes. Herzog.
Pass.
Halpern.
No.
Hershenson.
Yeah.
Hussein.
No.
Johnson.
Pass.
Crickler.
Yeah.
Lader.
Yes.
Lev.
Yes.
Mason.
No.
McClellan.
No.
Meyerson.
Yes.
Partial.
No.
Phillips.
Same.
Pope Marshall. Price.
No.
Rose.
Yes.
Rudder.
Yes.
Salcedo.
Yes.
Sanchez.
Yes.
Sasson.
No.
Seligson. Selim.
No.
Squire. Stein.
Yes.
Tamayo.
No.
Wald.
No.
Warren.
Yes.
Weiner.
Yes.
Going back to passes, we have Chu.
Yes.
Cormac.
Yes.
Herzog.
No.
Johnson.
Yes.
That's everyone. 22 yes, 15 no. 2 abstain.
So our next one is 2K. This is Hughes Tavern, doing business as Phil Hughes Tavern. There was a discussion about their outdoor furniture, and there were some people who came unhappy about like the security of their outdoor furniture.
TVs.
I'm sorry?
Isn't that?
Yeah, there's TVs. It was outdoor
On the
televisions.
outdoor wall.
There was a discussion if they were gonna like put televisions on or not. They
Outside.
agreed to not use their outdoor televisions during the week, but they would do it during the weekend, permitted that that's appropriate activity. This was a 4-3 approval.
I have to go to zoning.
Okay, I mean, these are the facts as I know them. Marco?
Yeah, thank you. I think you missed to say that there is a petition of 29 residents across the street that oppose the noise. on
Yes,
this
there were a number of people. who came
Yeah.
out. I don't know if 29 is the number, but.
Yeah, 29, I'm
I'm
100%
looking at the issue
sure.
right now. Okay.
That is one, and two, yes, it's true, it's no purview of DOT, but it's purview of the zoning resolution.
Exactly.
Which basically is a sign. Everything that you put in the facade, it has to comply with the rules and regulations. And I'm very in shock that after the applicant was in agreement with me to remove the TV from the wall, the resolution came out and said, let's go offer to put the TV on the wall, even though that is unlawful. And it looks like anarchy. Thank you.
Russell?
The Department of Buildings has to approve this.
I don't know about TV regular. I really don't know.
Okay.
That's the regular.
Yeah.
Asked to approve it or not, but whoever does will do it for purposes of, or not. But for purposes of the streetlight committee, that's not what we're looking at. If they're not allowed to do it, then of course they won't do it. I mean, one of the stipulations that we have that's a standard thing is that you have to comply with all the rules and regulations. So if it's not allowed, they can't do it. What we discussed during the meeting was that on any day when the TV is on, which now is going to be limited to the weekends, they would turn it off at 10 o'clock because that's apparently a blanket rule that applies to any sort of outdoor television you have. On top of that, if you look at the resolution, there are a number of detailed stipulations. The way that those came about is we heard during the meeting from people in the community. We discussed with the people in the community what sorts of conditions and stipulations would be acceptable to them. And that's what we incorporated into the resolution. So people came to the meeting opposed, people came with concerns. we, as we often do in the committee, had a dialogue between the operator and the community. We tailored these stipulations to what both sides agreed to. We had buy-in from the community on what we ultimately got. And finally, the reason that we left the TV in is because I personally think it's, you know, it might be fun on a weekend to watch the television while you're sitting outside. I think it should be possible.
And in addition to Russell thinking it's fun, the people who came with the complaints did say, if you wanted to keep it on the weekend, that's fine. They were like, we don't want the TVs on while we're working in the week.
Yeah,
That's
but
what
in
they.
general, we're now approving TV sets on.
I mean,
outside
if our approval,
buildings.
if we can't approve TV sets, then we can't approve TV
But-
sets.
But can just a point, what Russell is saying is in fact, even if we approve it, if it's not allowed, it's not allowed. I mean, it's TV subject to.
To approve non-compliance.
Should be
You
concerned
can do
that
whatever
the
you
community
want,
board
but you should try
something.
to not approve.
Okay,
non-compliance.
Michelle, you're just talking.
No,
out
should
of
be
turn.
concerned that the community
not
board
fine.
approving something is gonna overrule some sort of prohibition that exists
Never
in
come
state or state law otherwise on.
Can
It'll
you,
never
can
come
you
down.
explain to me, when you say agree to secure the outdoor furniture, what does that mean? Because I thought the whole premise was that the furniture couldn't be like nailed down. So what are we saying by
I
security?
think it means, so here's what they were having. They were having people who, after the restaurant closed, were coming and sitting there and loitering on their stuff because it wasn't like put away. So this
Oh.
is like your chairs and your benches can't be out so that whoever's coming home from the bars is just sitting outside of your restaurant.
Okay,
Like even
so,
when they're closed. So this is secure the stuff away.
so basically stored indoors.
They've agreed to
No,
make
you
it so that
put
people
some
can't
kind
sit
of
on it, or a gate, or it's like enclosed or something. Cause some of them
I
like,
didn't think that you were allowed to do that, but
You can't just put a gate up.
look,
they will secure it in a way that they've agreed to, so people aren't sitting on it.
well, I'm asking, okay, Russell, I'm asked, secure usually means just, you know, secure it to the floor. It doesn't
No,
necessarily
the
mean.
challenge wasn't, it's like moving around too much. The challenge
Okay.
was unwanted people were sitting on it after the place
Okay.
had closed.
Okay.
I thought they were gonna bring it in, but.
Yeah,
Okay,
maybe they're
so that's what I,
Karen,
Second.
okay, let's do it.
Let's do it. Anderson,
Yes.
Angelos,
Yes.
Ashby,
Yes,
Birnbaum,
no.
Boris,
Yes.
Camp,
No.
Chu.
Yes.
Coleman. Cormac,
Yes.
Faber,
Yes.
Hallam Clark, yes. Herzog,
Yes.
Halpern,
No.
Hershenson,
Yeah.
Hussein,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Crickler,
Yes.
Lader,
Yes.
Lave,
Yes.
Mason,
yes,
McClement,
No.
Meyerson,
Yes.
Paschal,
No.
Phillips,
Yes.
Pope Marshall,
The motion to approve.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Price,
No.
Rose,
Yes.
Rudder,
Yes.
Salcedo,
Yes.
Sanchez.
There's a copy cup up. He's away.
Oh, okay. Sasson.
Yeah.
Seligson. Sellon,
No.
Squire,
Yes.
Stein,
Yes.
Tamayo,
No.
Wald, Warren,
Yes.
Weiner,
No.
Sanchez back.
No, yes.
Okay. 27 yes, 11 no.
Okay, so 2M, someone will have to correct me if I'm wrong, but we had a conditional disapproval because I think they said they didn't have to show up. Is that the one where they were like, we don't have to show up for this? It Margaritas, Yorkville LLC.
He didn't show up.
He didn't show up, I think, and
Yeah.
so we had a conditional disapproval, which I'm now seeing a typo where we marked department twice.
the department of the department.
Yeah, the department of the department, we wrote that, so that was. It was a 6-1 disapproval. Okay,
Call the question.
Second.
So a yes is a no.
a yes is a no, you are disapproving with a yes. And I think we actually asked if they wanted to come to this meeting, they could, and I don't, if they have been here, no one's made themselves known to me.
They will spoken in the public session.
Call the question.
Okay,
Do we actually need a roll call? on
Do
this
we
one?
need a roll call on this one?
No.
it can be unanimous disapproval if we like, I'm
Yeah,
fine
yeah.
with that, that's, okay.
Did we
say that there is or is not a requirement for the applicant to appear before the committee?
There is, we have asserted there is. Some of their attorneys have said, no, there isn't. Nearly all of them have just said, if they believe there is, then we will come. This one was one that said, we don't think we have to come.
Okay.
So they might still get approved, right? Because we're advisory, but, yeah.
Okay, so,
So I'm fine with doing it's all no's. Fine with
Okay.
me. Thank you for letting me go
Oh, yes,
first.
okay.
Well, all yeses to disapprove.
Okay.
Fine, we're all disapproving it, yes.
All right.
So no censure.
So much better than going at the end, when we're
Okay.
all ready to go.
I just want to say that as many,
441.
Well done, everybody. Well done.
I just want to say that we are so lucky, okay? Most community boards are doing 100 every time they meet, 100 applications.
And they're going out and measuring.
Yes, 100 per meeting. Down in District 1 and District 2, it's unbelievable.
Who's measuring? It's going
Huh?
out and measuring.
At least 5 hours, at least.
Ours was just
And
3.
and it's all in person. And it's all in person. So, there's one other point I want to make as, Landmarks makes its way up. You might have seen some signs on, lampposts for something called, I want to get it right. Blaze Cannabis that says that they sell over the internet, but they pay sales tax. They are an illegal cannabis seller. And I don't care if they're collecting sales tax. I don't know what the heck they're doing with it, but they are illegal. And you can take the signs down as you see it. I engaged the electeds and they've asked DSNY to take down the signs. But in addition to that, I was asking about enforcement, and apparently they are one of the entities that is under investigation as conducting illegal cross state line cannabis sales. So I just make that announcement. Landmarks, you're up.
Thank you for letting me go first.
Oh, yeah. No question.
Whenever things are not as like fried and tired. It totally was.
No, it's not opening. Thank you, technician. All right.
So you are seeing an image
Okay.
of the new wing of the Metropolitan
Please,
Museum.
attention to David, please. Thank you.
And-
Sorry.
Thanks.
This received unanimous except for one vote. And what we're looking at tonight is both the building and the landscape. And it's split into the building and the landscape in terms of the votes. The Met has a dire need for space for modern and contemporary art. And right now, there is a building there, which is the Atchison Wallace wing, and it's got about 40 some odd thousand square feet of space. Based on exactly the same footage in terms of the foundations, they've managed to get it up to 70 some odd thousand square feet of space, which is extremely well done in terms of the interior planning. And what you see on the outside.
There's a mouse in there?
Now in the kitchen.
It's a kosher mouse.
All right, everybody.
Okay.
There's no dining in here now.
You're a rat. Don't have the zoning.
Okay, all right. Sorry, David.
In any event, they also wanted a building that would be in scale with the Met. They wanted a building that would connect with the landscape with Central Park. And this building, with the exception of one of us, all thought that was well done. Go to the next. All right, just so you can see where it is, it's the corner in the red. This is based on the master plan that was done by Roach Dinkaloo in 1961, I think, and it was 1987, and then it was finished in 1991. Everything now has to follow that master plan. Can we go to the next? The purpose of this slide is just to show you some of the evolution of the Met. The Met has always followed the style of the period, and they also have always used younger or mid-career architects because they want new, new visions for the Met. Next. So this, you'll see more detail of it as we go quickly, as we go. Well, let me just say one thing about that. There are some things about this building that might look unusual, but it's all limestone, just as the Met is all limestone. What you see here is the scale broken down so that even though the building has great mass, it actually does not appear as large as it really is. Also, this building aligns with all of the critical lines at the Met in terms of cornice lines and roof lines. So it is no higher than the highest points of the Met. Next. And this quickly shows you the alignments. Let's go to the next. Next. One of the big things was the use of light. And the way this building is designed, it lets light in through a series of vertical slots. So on the right, you see the way the light comes into the gallery through those vertical slots. It's actually made up of limestone bricks, and we'll see the details on that. And on the left, you're seeing some selected areas where you have window space. In the John Dinkelo master plan, the idea is to have volumes of solid and volumes of void, and to have them interrelate with one another. It's done very well, although uniquely in this building. Next. So here you're beginning to see how it's made up. These are called celosia bricks. Celosia is a plant, some of you may know, which is sort of feathery. And that sort of relates to the texture that you see on these walls. These bricks range from 6 inches wide to 4 inches wide. And as you go up the building, they get smaller. So that helps with the perspective and helps to make the building feel less bulky. Next. So sometimes it's screened and sometimes it's solid, but basically it creates the texture. Also, they have 2 terraces on the 4th and 5th floors. The terraces are designed to become an extension of Central Park. We have fabulous views, or will have fabulous views from these terraces. Next. So the landscape, well, do you want to vote on this now or go to the?
Call the question on part A.
Yes. Okay, does everybody agrees we can vote on it?
Yes.
Okay, please.
Can I,
I don't know if we need to
point
call
of
the roll.
information?
Yeah.
I attended the presentation at the Met. It was a young woman architect. And it's magnificent. They took so many things into account. And I think you're all going to be very pleased going over there. So
Is anyone going to vote no? Okay, anybody besides Marco? Anybody online?
Will and Abraham are not at their computers, but everybody else is fine.
Okay, can we do it that way, David? Is
Yes,
there-
that's fine.
Okay,
I think you go a little faster on the landscape because it's a little more understandable. We all know what Central Park looks like. But essentially, they want to do better on the paths. They want to do better on the nature of the plantings, having them native and having them diverse. They also want to create an appropriate setting for the new museum wing next. Again, this is to show you the area. You can see it outlined, which is technically part of the project. On the other hand, the project will probably extend further as the Conservancy ties all of this together. Next. And the Conservancy wanted us to be aware of the kinds of things that are there that they want to repeat in some forms. at the new building next. The path that goes around the building, right now does not meet, accessibility, requirements. So the intent is to change that, so it will next. And, here you see the, path, with the trees, the way it's conceived next. The, Conservancy was actually the, designer for this. They just wanted us to see that they're using the traditional materials in terms of the paths and the railings, the settees, and they're using grass that is drivable black grass, and they take a lot of abuse next. Last but not least, just an overview of the way the building will be set within the landscape. For those who are interested, right now, there are 30 trees in that particular area. They're going to be planting 50 to 60 trees, and the trees that are going to be used locally so that they are going to be respected in terms of their lives being shortened. So,
Call the question.
Second.
Anyone voting no? Okay, one no.
And Will Speckbay from Scott.
Okay.
okay, Jane took over for Anthony, who couldn't be here, so.
As Jane comes up, I just want to mention that the Conservancy agreed to come back to our Parks and Waterfront Committee to talk about what was going to be planted and how that was all going to evolve in terms of the landscape process. So we will have more of that, but it doesn't really relate to landmarks,
And
so.
also lighting.
As opposed to another museum, I will tell you that these people are very much interested in having us understand what's happening. They will come back, answer questions, and definitely show it to us again as needed.
Yeah, if you missed the presentation, you should definitely go back and not go back, but go to YouTube and watch it. It's quite an excellent presentation.
The difference in attitude between wanting to work with CB8, forgive me for saying it, the difference, the way the Frick worked with us and has worked with others that I'm very familiar with, like night and day. So we should be very pleased that they have two really good architects and they have the right attitude.
Jane, welcome back.
Thank you. I was bemused by David Halpern's editorial comment about the Frick. I hope you all saw the Michael Kimmelman piece. Huge in the New York Times. I think it was on Wednesday, the feature piece on the arts.
It's amazing how you can see things.
Okay, that's for the
we're
after
going to
party.
6
Okay.
East, 74th Street. I think the best way to see this is through the two drawings side by side. The changes are minimal. The height of the building is not being changed. The two major changes are taking down an existing greenhouse that's at the first floor and enclosing it with walls and a terrace above, and then extending out the penthouse at the 5th floor by 5 feet, minimally visible from the public way. We had two people were opposed to the application. I don't know whether they want to speak to it. I'll lead up, very amusing, the copper cladding on top of, at the bulkhead, the elevator bulkhead and the stair bulkhead, but we know that copper patinates. I put that in one of the whereases. And then Michelle, did you want to say anything?
No, because it won't matter.
Okay. So does anybody, Chuck?
Call the question.
Second.
All opposed, all in favor, any opposed? I guess
Michelle,
we can do it by
You're a no.
unanimous acclamation or.
What?
You're a no.
I'm a no.
Okay.
Anyone
I know
else?
too.
Okay, 2 no's.
Okay.
Anybody
I'll
on
leave
Zoom?
it.
No, I'm changing.
Oh,
my
you're
vote.
changing, okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Everybody's on Zoom, so you're good.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the brevity, although it's going to be a really exciting project. Matt, I think they said they would start in 26 and maybe be done by 2030. Was that?
Something like
Yeah.
that, yeah.
Okay, Parks and Waterfront.
So we have 2 resolutions. The first, Community Board 6 did a
small study to start thinking about how to reimagine the FDR Drive. To address lack of park space in the area, access to the waterfront. And they were seeking Community Board 8 support for, their concept and for their continued study. So this resolution is really just to support the efforts of Community Board 6. Russell?
I'm opposed to this, and the reason is because, well.
Can't hear you, Russell.
So I'm opposed for two reasons. Number one, we just recently opened in Community Board 6 and in part in Community Board 8. What I think is a very good example of the right way to add public open space to the FDR Drive. There's that new walkway that they opened that starts at like whatever it is, 61st Street or 60s, something like that. You know, and goes down into the 50s. They basically built it in such a way that it doesn't interfere with the FDR Drive. They sort of built this thing out around it. It's very beautiful. It's very pleasant to walk on. It creates more open space. It provides nice views of the river. To me, that's the right way to do it. It's a very clear example of what we should be doing. And I think this proposal inexplicably is different from that good example. And I think one of the things that I'm most concerned about it is the idea of boulevardization, because if you compare the FDR Drive with the boulevardized portions of the West Side Highway, it's night and day. It's much easier to drive and faster to drive on the FDR Drive than it is to drive on the sort of supposed West Side Highway that isn't really a highway, that has traffic lights and all that stuff. It's just much, much worse. And right now, the FDR Drive functions from a driving perspective extremely well. And so I don't think we should mess with that. I don't think we should change it to something that is worse.
I will just say this was a preliminary study to come up with a conceptual approach to look at things.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think you're asking us to take a leap of faith here. There were no plans. Just because one community board did a study and came up with a resolution. I was looking, unless I missed it, I didn't see their resolution and I didn't see plans. And I think that we have to see what we're voting on before we can either support or not support. So to me, this would be a blind vote. I'm voting no.
Chuck, Craig, sorry.
That's right. Thank you, please. So I want to make clear that this presentation was really more, as Police said, a conceptual look at opportunities to be able to revitalize or to allow for better access to the waterfront. And boulevardization is only one of the three options that they were looking at, and they haven't made any recommendations anywhere. They're just using that as an example of one of the three, including an overbuild and including the activation of the portions under the FDR Drive. So this isn't to say that they're about to rip up the FDR Drive. This is saying that they're viewing this as an opportunity to look at how we can allow for a better use of the space that's existing there and look at other options as well, because we don't know how the FDR is going to exist in the future. There's also the Transportation Committee is going to be participating in the York Avenue traffic study. We don't know if there's going to be any implications from the FDR Drive as a result of that. So I think any fears that anyone have regarding this is a little bit premature. I think it's really a beneficial concept to be thinking of how we can provide better access to the waterfront and more green space and more open space, which we all agree is desperately needed in our district.
Madison?
I mean, I wouldn't be able to make this resolution, but I mean, I'm generally in support of the idea of adding more green space to the neighborhood. I think it's really important. I do think that we do need a highway that goes north to south on Manhattan that can go north to south without interference. So I would say, could we modify the resolution in such a way that we would say we'd be open to the two options, the non-boulevardization option that's presented, plus any other options that don't interfere with the operation of the highway.
We should wait and vote on details.
Sarah?
If I may offer a friendly amended and if seconded, speak to it.
Go ahead.
Okay. That
Can't hear you, Sarah.
in the therefore be it resolved that, that CB8 supports, can't see anymore, I'm sorry. CB8 supports CB6's resolution, or efforts. So CB8 supports CB6's efforts to, toward a report that would reimagine the FDR and increase the amount of green space, without saying the component that says endorses visions and principles.
It's, I think that's like a substitute motion, but that's, I don't know.
I think it's for me, it's the principles, because then we're adopting those 3 bullets in our resolve, and.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
I don't.
Different resolution.
And it was
I would
really,
endorse those.
their proposal was really a conceptualization. It was a very preliminary study. That requires significantly more work and effort, and more detailed study to really move forward. This is really, their conceptual approach on looking at, and looking a way to increase the access to open space and access to the waterfront. Elizabeth? And then Sharon.
I love the idea of that, or I love the initiative that a community board would like to reimagine and the FDR, and with the goal of increasing waterfront access and open space and so on and so forth. I would really prefer to see community board 8, community board 6, community board, whoever is north of us, is that 11? And where, and, you know, I would like to see the stretch of community boards who all border this same highway join together for a task force to reimagine the FDR drive together, rather than, you know, endorse what CB6 is doing and not be an active participant in that conversation.
I understand they are planning on reaching out to CB11 as well, and I think Kyle from Community Board 6 is on, and maybe we could just hear briefly from him on this.
Yeah, Kyle, go ahead and unmute.
Hey, everybody, good evening. I just want to provide some quick context for this. So the whole premise behind this is actually started several years ago, and Alita and Russell will probably remember me talking about this at Borough Board. The idea is that this is a re-envisioning to really start the conversation on thinking about how we can utilize our open spaces, the different ways that we could do it, and to really start the thought conversations around this. Everything that has been mentioned is exactly why we're taking this approach. As we mentioned at the committee meeting the other week, we're coming to our closest neighbors to get your support on moving this conversation forward, and next steps being that we are then collaborative partners in taking this further. But right now, this is a conceptual idea that we need to get support from all of the community boards that are affected by this, and move forward from there. So this is not about any specific type of action, except that, are we all in agreement on re-envisioning our infrastructure? Are we in the districts that have some of the lowest amount of green space in the city willing to take that risk going forward and really move the conversation forward? Our electeds aren't going to listen to us if we're not unified. They're not going to listen if this doesn't come from the community. And that's the whole purpose, first of all, of having the study, and then moving forward together as community boards. So hopefully that helps provide some context on what exactly you're voting on.
So Elizabeth and then Sharon.
Okay, so I would like to propose a substitute resolution that Community Board 8 resolves to form a task force with the appropriate representatives of Community Board 6, and ideally other community boards bordering the FDR, to collectively work to reimagine the FDR drive with the goals of increasing waterfront access and green space across.
So Sarah, you initially proposed an alternative resolution, but it wasn't seconded. So are you?
Would be happy to second Elizabeth's resolution or substitute.
The substitute. Thank you.
Okay, is there a second?
Sarah's the second.
Okay. And then Sharon, you wanted to comment?
Yes, thank you for this. So Russell mentioned the waterfront. I'm sorry, Russell mentioned the waterfront that just opened basically in CB6 and that came about through reimagining the waterfront as far back as 2011. And I think that we can look at and reimagine a variety of different spaces. It's going to take some time and there will be some investment with respect to that and with respect to us. We'll have to be in it for the long term. But having said that, I would really hope that we join with Community Board 6. I did ask at the meeting whether or not they will go as far as Community Board 11, and they were very much in support of that. So I can see that happening. But I do think that since Community Board 6 is only thinking about conceptually looking at and having that discussion, that's where we are. We're not saying it's going to be X. We're not saying it's going to be Y. We're simply saying, let's have that discussion. And that's what happened in 2011. We began to have that discussion about the waterfront. And it was from 2011 until 3 years ago when that section of the waterfront eventually opened, requiring significant infrastructure investment. So I think it's okay in the same way that we request the Department of Transportation to say, can you take a look at this? We can support a fellow community board by affirmatively stating, look, we're with you in engaging in this conversation overall.
Alita?
Thank you. I'd just like to propose a friendly amendment to Elizabeth's proposed resolution. And if seconded, I'll speak to it very briefly, which is instead of saying reimagining the FDR drive, saying reimagining the use of green space or creating green space between or below the FDR drive. So it doesn't suggest reconfiguring or putting stoplights on or putting in bike lanes or pedestrian lanes or altering the functioning of the FDR drive. I guess I spoke to it in the resolution, so I'll just stop.
Well, it's just so, I wanted to think a little bit about specific wording, but I will accept a friendly amendment that focuses the purpose of the group getting together and imagining this space, retaining a north-south motorway, separated motorway as a highway in any resolution.
Craig?
Yeah, I will vote no on that if that's the language. I think it is too limiting. I think we need to keep an open mind as to what options are presented in the future to allow us to really think holistically about how we can better provide space. I don't think anyone is really happy with the FDR drive as it currently exists. It is extremely unsafe. It creates a lot of pollution, air quality issues. People who live along it do not enjoy its existence. And if we are just thinking in a very narrow fashion about what can be done with it, we're not going to necessarily get the outcomes that may actually work for everyone. I'm not even talking about necessarily whether a highway should exist or not. I'm talking about what that space could ultimately be. It could be a multi-use space, and it could be a really well-used, well-loved space that supports many different uses, and to be able to to limit it in a resolution. I find that to be really unacceptable.
And I'll add the concept that they have is that it's looking at the totality, so mobility, congestion, road safety, and environmental resiliency as well, since the FDR Drive does tend to flood. Craig, Paul, thank you.
I'd like to propose that we go with the original support for what they're proposing. But don't know how to say that. 1 second.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I'd like to.
You have to vote on the motion. We already have a substitute motion, so it's either up or down on the substitute as friendly amended.
Add one thing.
Sure.
And I'm saying this from a personal standpoint. I live in a building that's adjacent to the FDR Drive, and we were evacuated in the middle of Sandy and were displaced for 2 weeks because of the flooding that's caused by the FDR the East River coming up into our garage.
Okay.
And no, but the part of this broader study is looking at resiliency, and resiliency is a huge issue for those who live along at low-lying levels. So 90th Street, 79th Street, 78th Street were some of the most vulnerable areas, and I think that is something as well that needs to be considered as part of this whole equation.
Barbara, I was gonna say something similar. There's a lot of problems with the FDR Drive that can be addressed and to say, not to say that it has to be taken away, but work with it. We have flooding on it. It also is the ruination of the Esplanade. I love I love the Esplanade. It is so noisy and the fumes are so bad because of the FDR Drive. So it really takes away the experience of it. And I think to say that we should reimagine dealing with the FDR Drive is very important. and will
Okay,
help
can I just, first of all, when I spoke to the chair, and I'm sorry, I'm jumping, when I spoke to the chair about this, and I told her when she written, Sandy McKee's the chair of CB6, and I said, well, she goes, we'd really like to come and talk about the proposal. And to be honest with you, there was a sort of jurisdictional discussion about where this was best placed, whether it was in transportation or in parks and waterfront. And she goes, you're kidding me. It really doesn't have anything to do with the FDR. It's all about reimagining the green space. And I said, okay, then why does it have FDR like right there, like solid into the thing? So I will only tell you that in legal documents, we say that the headings don't matter. It's the substance of the plan. So I'm at this point, I'm not sure that we're gonna get any agreement on this, and I'm gonna make a motion to table.
Second,
Not debatable.
So
now we have to
Just
vote
call
on
the
that, so call the question on the table.
Okay, is
Not
there,
debated.
I would do the roll.
Just call the question.
Just call.
Don't you have
Just vote on the
a
motion.
question on it?
Yeah, every,
Tabling? or-
Yes.
yeah,
You guys want me to do one?
Sure, do a roll call vote on
So
table.
are we roll calling on this?
Yeah.
Yes,
Anderson,
Yes.
Angelos? Ashby,
Yes.
Birnbaum,
yes.
Borres,
No.
Camp,
Yes.
Chu,
No.
Coleman. Cormac, yes. Farber,
sure, we can table it.
Callum Clark,
yes.
Hartzog,
Yes.
Halpern,
Yes.
Hershenson,
Yeah.
Hussein,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Crickler,
No.
Later,
Pass.
Lev,
Yes.
Mason,
yes,
Clement,
Yes.
Meyerson,
Yes.
Parshall,
Yes.
Phillips,
Yes.
Pope Marshall,
No.
Price,
yes,
Rose,
Pass.
Rudder,
No.
Salcedo,
Oh, sorry, he rejoined.
Yes.
Sanchez,
Yes.
Sassen,
Yes.
Seligson.
Yes.
Salam,
Salam, you gonna mute?
yes,
Squire,
Yes.
Stein,
He left.
okay, Wald,
Yes.
Warren,
No.
back to the, Wiener,
Yes.
You just passed my
Yeah,
name.
Marco.
Oh, sorry, Marco.
Yes.
Back to the passes later
No.
and
It's fine.
And I'm gonna change my vote
Rose?
to no.
We're good.
Okay, Rose,
Now,
and then we're changing Felice to no. Okay, and Coleman is not here? No, okay. 28 yeses, 9 nos.
I will see Sandy McKee tomorrow and I will talk a little bit more about the proposal and see where we can go from there. I think we do want to work with all of our fellow community boards to put something together. And maybe that's the best approach to take, but
Maybe we should get to transportation committee and take a look with the parks committee.
okay,
It was joint with the transportation.
I understand, but we'll take it, we can take another look at it.
okay, all right.
The second resolution is fairly straightforward. Parks Department, has a proposed, art installation along the Park Avenue Mall. It's by Alma Allen, and it would, freestanding sculptures between 52nd and 70th Street on Park Avenue. Marco,
Call the question.
Second.
anybody opposed?
We know what they're gonna look like.
Yes, there's a link to the installation.
It's gonna be art.
It's gonna be sculptured along, with the locations listed.
Yeah, there should have been a link with the resolution.
But there is a link with the resolution.
I hit it and hit it.
Well,
It doesn't
there's no
open.
internet on your tablets
No, but it doesn't open, it won't.
at all?
I couldn't open it.
Okay. They are posted on the Parks Committee's agenda.
Oh, they're all.
Okay, I think we approved it by,
Call the question.
Is anybody,
Is anyone voting no?
is anyone gonna vote no against the installation?
Okay,
all right,
Okay.
thank you.
everyone's a yes.
Okay. Transportation, come on down. Nice to see you with 2 working arms, Chuck.
There, well, mostly.
You want me to do the first one, I'll do the second?
Okay, we have two resolutions. The first was a request, it's item 2. From the NYPD for additional parking spots around the 19th precinct, which is on 67th Street between 3rd and Lexington. And Nick Fiest, our former chair, was good to see him because the police couldn't make it, but he's head of the 19th precinct council. And basically what the situation is there, that they currently previously had 19 spaces for official cars. And they lost 5 of those spaces because of the subway improvements and things at the 68th Street station. And so they went to the Department of Transportation and they said, we'd like you to relook at this and see if we could at least get 5 more spaces or whatever. And for some reason, Transportation said, no, we're not gonna look at it. It seemed crazy. And so they said, go to the community board. So they went to our committee and the committee was very supportive and we voted unanimously basically to say, hey, look at this and see what you can give, you can give them back as many spaces as possible for the official cars. So I have a lot of, Russell, do you want
So
to?
it's a question, potential friendly amendment, but it sounded like we were talking about 5 parking spaces, and I think the resolution is phrased as like saying the maximum amount, whatever, it wasn't clear to me why we weren't just saying up to 5, and it sort of just sounded to me like.
Because the reason was, well, you had it just right. Because we didn't want to just limit it to 5, because we wanted them to look around and give them as many as they could, because they have, what is it, 47 official vehicles.
It sounded like the request that they had originally made to the DOT was only for 5.
Well, they at least wanted to get 5. I think their request was to look at it.
Just want to know what's in the minutes.
Okay,
Would you accept a friendly amendment to do up to 5?
no. Because our committee was very strong, frankly, about that.
And can I just add, the concern was that New York NYPD and 19th precinct is very constrained in terms of the amount of places where they can park cars, and as a result, they're illegally parking their vehicles.
Right.
Which sets a really bad example for the community, and by perhaps giving them more spaces than the 5, it alleviates other concerns that are inadvertently caused by the lack of spaces that they have to start with.
I think they would accept 5, Russell, in the end, if that's what it was, but we wanted, I think the committee, the overwhelming consensus of the committee was see how many, as many as you can get them, but I think it may end up just being 5 because of what the Craig just said. Yes.
Call the question, please.
Second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor? Is anybody opposed to this? Okay, is it? Okay,
Another reason why the elevator should have been on 69th Street. I would have gone with Russell's.
okay, well, thank you.
Max
No,
five.
we'll take you. Okay, so,
Wait, Sarah and Jack.
oh, sorry, Sarah, you opposed?
Yes.
Okay, and Jack? Okay, so that's 3 opposed.
Oh, I'm opposed to.
Oh, 4. Okay, all right. We're taking names.
I'm sure they are.
No.
Everybody is these
No,
days.
no, they're not. No, they're not. That's okay. Okay, item 2. Item 3.
Item 3, yeah.
Yes, item 3. You want me to do this too?
Have fun with it.
Yeah, okay, all right. So basically, our next item this was a revocable consent, which has always managed to stir up a certain amount of debate. And, this is a public hearing on 134 East 74th Street, again, between Lexington and Park. And it's to construct, maintain, and use a fenced-in area, included a planted area and steps. And so what happens is that there was a building there, and it does have a fenced-in area, and there's stuff behind it. It's about 3.1 feet beyond. They bought the building next door, and the building next door, they're changing the entranceway, and they now want to put up a fence that's right 3.1 feet beyond the property boundary, and they have an entrance that goes down a different configuration. And it's a part, they went to landmarks first, and our landmarks committee approved what they did, and our board approved what they did, back a couple of years ago. And so they're coming to us for this consent to move out, put a fence in area, and some plantings in there to make it even. And that was it. And now we had some people who are against these kinds of things, who voted against, and others, and we'll let people talk. And Alita.
As a member of the Landmarks Committee, landmarks, in my understanding, only deals with context and appropriateness and not the sidewalk configuration or the use of the sidewalk. So whether they approve this has nothing to do with the ability of the owner to move out into public space and take up more room by over 3 feet on a narrow side street for themselves and use up public space. And I personally am opposed to all of this because the sidewalks belong to all of us. And as the city and our district becomes more congested with the construction of tall buildings and more housing and more everything in the district except green space, we are losing public space for the benefit of a single family now who owns 2 buildings, and it is simply not right. And that the fences don't align is true on almost every single side street in the neighborhood, and that is not an excuse to have to do something when the 2 buildings still look like 2 separate places. And it talks about a proposed door. So what they want to do is make a door and then use that excuse to justify taking up public space for their own benefit. So I oppose this, and I would hope other people.
I would just point out that the process is called the revocable consent process, and the city envisions that people are allowed to do this if it's approved. And many of these have been approved. And so obviously everybody's entitled to their own view on this, but they pay for the space that they take up.
Minimal amounts and revocable means the
No
city-
pointing, no pointing, Elena.
I'm explaining what it is. You can say I'm advocating. Elizabeth.
So I sometimes voted in favor of these. I generally vote against these, but I'm going to vote against this one for a totally different reason than the sidewalk issue that Alita mentioned, which is this is now going to be a 51-foot wide, single family residence. And while I have often said we can't do anything about somebody converting what was a multifamily building into a single family townhouse, 3 townhouses being combined, because the first 2 were also originally separate townhouses. This is obscene. It is just obscene. And so the only purview that we have here is to say no.
Okay. Okay, yes.
So I'll ditto everything that Alita said. and just say that it is true that we have voted for this sometimes, but just as many times we have opposed them. So we in the committee don't have a precedent for voting for or against. In this case, it's
How long have you been on the
egregious.
committee?
I'm on the board since 2006 and on the committee since that date.
I'm on the
So I
board
think
since
I.
1985.
You win.
I'm on the board since 1985.
That
Been
means
on
you're
the
much
committee
older than
except
I
for
am.
except for my chairmanship. So I'll see you, praise you.
Two and put in six.
Okay.
At any rate,
I can,
we
I'll
both
give
have
up.
bona fides, I suppose. So no matter whether our recollections are, but I can tell you that there have been various voting. The committee does not have a precedent on this. This is very egregious. It's a very big, it would be a very big log fence. It's coming out a long way. It is imposing on the public way. I urge you not to support it.
Yes.
Call the question.
Second, okay, okay.
And
So
right now
I guess we'll have to call a roll.
Yes, it's an approval.
Yes, it's
Yeah,
an
approve,
approval,
I can
yes.
approve.
yeah.
Okay, Anderson. Angelos. Ashby. Birnbaum.
No,
Boris. Camp.
no.
Chu. Coleman.
Not here.
Gone, sorry. Cormac.
Yes.
Faber. Hallam Clark, no. Herzog.
No.
Halpern. Hershenson. Hussein.
No.
Johnson. Crickler.
No.
Later.
Yes.
Lave.
Yes.
Mason.
No.
McLennan.
No.
Meyerson.
Yes.
Marshall.
No.
Phillips. Hope Marshall.
No.
Price.
No.
Rose. Rudder.
No.
Salcedo.
No.
Sanchez.
No.
Sasson. Squire, sorry, Seligson. Selim.
No.
Squire. Steingone, Tamayo,
No.
Wald,
No.
Warren,
Yes.
Weiner,
No.
and we had a pass on
Elizabeth.
Ashby.
Yes.
Fair.
8 yes, 29 no.
So do we have to flip it?
Substitute, yeah.
Okay,
What I was gonna say.
motion to flip?
Yes.
Yes. Second.
Is anybody gonna change their vote? No? Okay. Oh, abstain? Okay,
Okay, we'll do a pure flip with an abstain.
double it.
Wait, I have a question. Wait, I voted no originally, so I'm gonna change my vote to no.
Okay, so
Okay.
increase one more.
Okay.
Okay,
So this is a motion to disapprove?
Yes, which is gonna pass as a flip vote.
okay.
Okay, anything else? You want to just mention the traffic study, the long-awaited traffic study?
Sure, so
Presentation up.
New York City DOT is about to commence our long-awaited York Avenue traffic study. They are going to be presenting the study at our next Transportation Committee meeting, which is Wednesday, April 2nd. So it is meant to be a public discussion, so we invite everyone to be able to join and provide their initial feedback as to what the issues and challenges are on York Avenue in terms of traffic and pedestrian safety and anything else that affects the transportation experience along York Avenue. Bus,
Pedestrian.
yeah, obviously pedestrians, the ability for the M31 to operate, so on and so forth. Yes, Sarah?
Is this an initial gathering of information or have they already moved along with the traffic?
This is the very beginning of the
Beginning.
study.
Yeah, they're starting the 2011 survey.
Exactly.
Exactly, I was gonna just say, we
And
asked
that's,
for this. a
well, that
century
we
ago.
were on a kickoff call
Right.
and it was almost embarrassing that they had to say that. So, well, not for
Right.
them, but anyway.
Well, they came up with, they were scared off by the blowback from the last time, and so it took them a long time
Well, that
Right.
had a
to get
proposal
going.
in it, that's why.
Okay, let's
Well,
move
We
right
won't
on
get into-
No.
to street vendor. I think we're not gonna get to our new business tonight, so we're down to like 3 minutes.
Oh, we have to get out.
Yeah, so we're not gonna do it, Sophie, sorry. Please tell the assemblyman, no, we're not gonna get to it. Go ahead.
Yeah, good. So we had a very good meeting, talking
We can do
about
it after
street
this.
vending. There is a slide presentation that we have that Will can put up and go through very quickly. And basically what it is just showing you some of the infractions. We don't have to read any of it. But if you can enlarge it a little bit, I don't know if that's possible, but it's showing you some of the concerns on the street that the community has voiced to us and that we have been dealing with in terms of non-compliance of vending, not only on the street, but then we also went into the park where there is no vending permitted without a specific contract with the park. And now we're seeing an increased number of cut fruit vendors, which is illegal no matter where they are, because you're not permitted to cut fruit or food on the street. And general merchandise vendors. We had a PEP officer there. We had a representative of the Department of Sanitation, who is now the leading enforcing agency, which has bounced around a few times this past year. It was the Department of Health and Worker Protection. It was original NYPD. It started with Consumer Affairs. Now it's in the DOS, Department of Sanitation. They recognize they don't have enough officers, and therefore they are supported by the NYPD and the DOH. I'll start with the last thing first, saying that because these two, an inspector who was a PEP officer inspector was there, and it was the consensus of both the DOS rep and the PEP inspector and everybody, from what we can gather by enforcement, that the truth of the matter is, which we have known for the past century, there are not enough enforcing agents for this issue that are knowledgeable about street vendor law, which are both city law and state law. It became, and it's obvious that the reason for that is because there's not enough funding allocated. So the committee came up with a consensus to ask our chair to write a letter to the powers that be that determine the budget and ask for more money. And there's a whole letter of explanation, et cetera, as to why we think this is needed. And so that was one outcome of the committee meeting. The actual resolution that we have, however, is in your packet in two versions. One is the full and complete resolution, and then the other, which Marco prepared all of these slides, pictures and everything. And he also has the resolution on there with the yellow outline, which gives you the crux of the matter. And that's what we're voting on tonight. Read it for yourself so that you know all the details. It's only 3 pages, and then this is
3
the
pages.
outline. This is the matter of it.
30 seconds left.
What?
We've got 30 seconds left.
Oh, well, I'm ready. The basic line is it's asking for a portal. It's asking for a portal out of the mayor's office in which you can pour all of the different vendor information from all of these different agencies so that it's in one place. A lot of other agencies have this. To me, it's sort of a no-brainer because you've got to go to the NYPD. Anybody want to?
What makes us believe that a website will solve the problem?
Oh, I don't think it's going to solve the problem.
It's just that you.
No, all it is an information holding portal because they don't have one. So in other words, if you wanted information on a vending category, a vendor, anything, you'd have to go to 5 different portals to try to get that information. This is coming out of the mayor's office, one portal where all the information can be poured in. So it will be helpful.
So with this podium having this portal available to everybody?
Oh, yes, it's open to the public.
Russell?
No.
Oh, I'm
Why does it
sorry.
require a charter amendment as opposed to just a law? I don't understand. It makes no sense to me why we would do this as a charter amendment. That's what the intro calls for.
Why does it require a charter?
Yeah, why does it?
Well, I don't know. This is the intro that came before us.
Yeah, I don't understand why they're changing the city charter just to create a website.
Well, no, they're not changing it to create a website. No. First of all, this is a new jurisdiction under the mayor's office. And in that capacity, they want to be able to put all the same information. I mean, is it solving the world problems? No. Will it help? Absolutely, because how could you say it would be better without it? Is it better not having information in one place? I mean, that to me is a hard sell. Go
Is
ahead.
there any way online that you can look up this and read about this? So we can know we both, when we do get the vote.
Say that again?
Is there any place online that we can look up this information?
You have it right here. It's in the packet.
I have to read it in order to vote on it. And is I need more.
No, the actual intro is in the packet.
Okay.
The wording of it, the actual wording, not a summary, nothing like that, but the actual wording is in the packet.
So is
if
the
you're voting on it, it's the
resolution-
packet.
Is the resolution to
To
support the
support
intro?
the portal.
It's no, it's to support the intro, Michelle. It's to support the intro. That is correct.
Not to support the portal, support the resolution that it's written.
Which is, yes, which calls for a portal.
Okay.
Yeah, it's to support it as written, correct. But what it does is I was gonna call the question.
Thank you. Second.
Okay. Is anybody, are you unanimous in favor or against, or we need to call the roll?
I'm against.
I'm against.
Okay, let's call the roll.
Let's call the roll. Okay. Anderson. Angelos. Ashby.
Yes.
Birnbaum.
Yes.
Boris. Camp.
Yes.
Chu.
No.
Coleman. Gone. Cormac.
No.
Faber.
Abstain.
Hallam Clark. No. Hartzog. Halpern.
Yeah.
Hershenson.
Yeah.
Hussein.
Yes.
Johnson.
No.
Crickler. Gone. Later.
No.
Lave. Mason.
Yes.
McClement.
No.
Meyerson. Maybe gone.
I think so.
Partial.
Yes.
Phillips.
Yes.
Pope Marshall.
No.
Price.
Yes.
Rose.
No.
Rudder.
No.
Salcedo. Yes. Sanchez.
Yes.
Sasson.
Yes.
Seligson. Sellon.
Yes.
Squire. Stein is gone. Tamayo.
Yes.
Wald.
Yes.
Warren.
No.
Weiner.
Yes.
The suspense is killing me.
Faber.
I
No.
abstain.
Abstain.
Sorry. Herzog.
The pressure.
Yeah. Phillips. Great. Anyone else who passed? Okay, 21 yes, 12 no, several abstain.
Okay. I think it passes.
Those.
No, it's 21 yes.
21 yes, 12 no. It passed.
passes.
An abstains is a no.
Yeah, but it's not enough to get. Okay, we were supposed to move to a new matter, but I don't think we're gonna do it because we don't. Oh, so you want to do a quick straw poll?
Yes,
What?
quick one, I'm for or against.
Are you for the bill that would reduce the in-person requirement? Straw poll, just raise your hand if you would be
Yes.
for
And
it.
it doesn't have to apply to our board. We would change our own.
I'm opposed.
I'm opposed.
I'm
I mean,
opposed.
it takes less, it'll be less
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, let's.
Yes.
Here and.
Yes.
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 Now.
Do we make sure we get no hands too?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
This is just, we can do it again. Okay, so in favor of that?
Yes.
Okay, against?
Folks on Zoom, you did use to just audibly say yes or no.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
I can go back. I just want to say that there were several boards who also felt like we did, so I don't, you know.
What divided? It seems
No,
like-
no, against.
No, it seems like we're divided.
Yeah. it does.
Well, I mean, if we had to vote on it, the noes would win.
I don't know that that's.
Are you serious? Okay, well, you could go home with your own perception of the straw poll tonight. I'd entertain another motion, Chuck. Second, all in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
See you at the land use meeting. Remember, it's really important that you guys come to the next land use meeting.